similar IaaS or most of admin kind of stuff which we do on Azure AD. And these are also, you need to have also an understanding of these all stuff, because if you implement certain solution on your Active Directory, you need to know how exactly it gonna work behind. Okay, so one such solution which we're gonna talk, or even developer get benefit with this particular solution, is integration of your Azure AD with the SaaS applications. Okay, so we can develop SaaS applications or software as a service applications. Okay, so SaaS applications are basically multi-tenant applications. Okay, so the best examples are O365 or your own portal.azure.com. Okay, so they are SaaS applications. Okay, and certain SaaS solutions are also available on an Azure Marketplace as well. Okay, you can have certain SaaS solutions like even O365, and you have New Relic and other services which are SaaS solutions, and you can actually integrate with your current solutions and current software, and then you can do a lot of stuff. Think of a scenario like where you have a software, you are developing an application, okay, and your particular application want to trigger emails to customer, trigger SMS to customers, okay, and for that you don't want to implement a different or you don't want to say your developer to write up a solution for me, email solution and SMS solution, which actually can trigger email and SMS to customers when they onboard to our application, this kind of stuff. Okay, instead of this, what you can do is like if that particular sources like email or SMS are used very much less, or it would be only would be used at the time of provisioning or deprovisioning. Okay, when I say about provisioning, it's like subscribing to a service. Okay, if I have application, a SaaS application, and if I want to onboard customers, I provision that particular customer into my system. Okay, and then I deprovision means I delete their data from my system when they go out of my application. Okay, so that is provisioning and deprovisioning. Okay, so when we do certain provisioning or deprovisioning process, at that particular time only you may be requiring this particular SMTP service or mailing service or SMS service. After that, like in between that, you don't require. Okay, for this kind of services where you have very less utilizations, or you want to get billed, or you don't want to build up a complete product, email or SMS services or a product for with your application, you just want to use services which are available in Azure Marketplace. Yeah, this is the right place. Once you have integration of your your application with Azure AD and that particular Azure AD, then you can actually use up SaaS applications which are available in the marketplace. Okay, I'll show them, and this particular SaaS application, why you would be interested for, it would be, you doesn't need to bother about this particular services. You can actually just concentrate on your core application which you are developing. Okay, you doesn't need to divert from your core application and just concentrate on sub features which you're gonna use. Okay, and then like you can have integration with your SaaS applications, like if they're part of this particular Azure AD, you can integrate with authentications, or you can integrate with O365, Facebook, Dropbox, Salesforce app, and there are a lot of things. Okay, and what happens is like it's in certain cases like you have already a SaaS application which actually available for cheaper costs. Okay, in that cases, like you don't want to your development team or product team to develop same kind of solutions at their on-premise. Okay, rather you would try to discover that particular kind of solutions if it's available on Azure itself already. And if it's there, you have complete sign-on experience, you have identity, you doesn't need to bother about your identity, because your identity is there on Azure, and that particular SaaS application is also there on Azure. So you have complete single sign-on, this one, and you have, it's easy to manage your licenses, and then you can those particular SaaS services which you want to integrate, there can be multiple SaaS services which are there. You can switch over to another services, like if you are going and subscribing for the SMTP services, like if you are opting for application insights kind of services, like right now you are there is no application insights or internal tools from Microsoft, okay, which can give you insights about your application. There's something called as New Relic. Okay, you actually, whatever product you have, you actually consume up that REST APIs with New Relic. Okay, you onboard New Relic, you add that particular SaaS application to your application, and then you use it. And whatever usage you are doing with that particular New Relic API, you pay to them. So in future, if a certain interesting software comes, which gives you more insights on your applications rather than what New Relic is giving, or maybe Application Insights is a product which is giving you more insights or more global level of monitoring to you, then you can switch it easily, because you just need to, you were consuming just a REST API. Okay, so it doesn't have any tightly coupled with your existing product. It just loosely coupled because you make a REST API calls to that particular service. So instead of making or using that particular client libraries of New Relic, now if you want to upgrade yourself your product, it's easy. You can go and consume Application Insights client libraries, and you can trigger your call, or you can put your monitoring using Application Insights. And that, with respect to New Relic, the Application Insights can be a cheaper option to you. Okay, so that's a benefit of integrating your application with SaaS applications which are available in Azure Marketplace. Okay, so one such, if you want to check out any, like if I'm developing a product and if I want to know that what particular kind of like product is available in marketplace, so that actually I can consume that particular service, and I can say that yeah, I do, my application, it's a simple load a line of business applications, but it has a lot of features, like it gives multi-factor authentication. You can sign in with you have single sign-on experience. You can sign in with any kind of identities, whether Facebook, Google, or any kind of identities, even LinkedIn. Okay, so that kind of features actually attracts consumers and a lot of business to your place. Okay, so in order to know that, integrate with SaaS application, would give a try. I would go to an Active Directory, go to application, and then try to, and this particular experience, I don't think so that it's has been, it's been moved to a new portal. That's why I'm showing in this particular experience in the old portal. Okay, so you can see that I have already subscribed to certain services like O365 management APIs, and I'm using VSTS service. Okay, I'll let you know what is the services I'm already using. I'll just add. No, I want application which is already there. Yes. So in B2C kind of directory, you're not able to check that particular option, because when I do this, I'll just get an option for adding an application to this directory which my organization is developing. It's not which is available in Marketplace. So for that, you need to go with Azure Active Directory, the plain Azure Active Directory, not any layers on top of it. Okay, and then you click add. Yes, you can add an application from gallery. So much time to take. Let it load up. We go back with the slides. So I'll show you up like what is that, those applications which are available in Marketplace, and the main that I discussed the advantages with moving on with or consuming a SaaS application which are already there, or SaaS services which are already there with your existing product which you are developing. Okay, and basically all of these SaaS applications are, they provide SAML federated authentication. Okay, so which are easy to authenticate. You doesn't need to have users in your, like users onto Azure Active Directory or in their own domain to authenticate your request. That's what, benefit of federated authentication. Okay, we'll discuss about federated authentications shortly. And I can go and add the gallery applications. Like I just go to my Azure Active Directory, any of plain Azure Active Directory, and then I have a lot of options. Like I can select Dropbox even. Okay, I have selected a Dropbox for my service, and Okay, I'll just go add an application from gallery. Yes, so these many SaaS applications which are already there in the market, so they have complete categorized of like any kind of SaaS applications you have, like you can put up. I mean, like if you want to spin up a service and you don't want to maintain it, this is the best option. You go to this particular marketplace and select a SaaS application, and you can drive your business with this. You have social apps, okay, and with the social SaaS applications and
Girish, we don't see your screen.
is it lost the connection now? Let me share again. Let me know once you are able to see. You're able to see?
It's loading.
Yeah. Let me know.
Yeah, now we can see, right? Yeah.
Okay. So what I did is like I just went to any of my plain directories, Azure Active Directories. I'll just add an application from gallery. Okay. So these are all categories of applications which are available with. I mean, these are various organizations. Okay, category of organizations who actually integrated their particular application or SaaS, software as a service application with Azure. Okay. So in order to consume them, it's very easy. You just go and subscribe to any of their applications, and then you can once you subscribe, let me take applications insights kind of solution. I know like it's a different company. It's not from Microsoft. Application Insights is from Microsoft. So New Relic is also a monitoring solution, okay, which is available, and then you can actually requires an existing New Relic subscription. You can create a subscription and then you can opt it. Let me check whether I can tag monitoring solution. Yes, I can go and add this particular or subscribe to this particular SaaS New Relic subscription. Okay, so once I do that, I'll have I have the New Relic onto my plate. Okay, and now I can integrate this particular New Relic application with my AD. Okay, you can enable single sign-on with AD. Okay, so once you configure single sign-on, okay, let me take up Microsoft Azure AD single sign-on. So I have done this for for Dropbox. Okay, while doing it, I realized it like I've selected Dropbox for business, and I realized it like for the Dropbox, like you need to have a business account, existing business account, so to integrate it. So I went to a directory, I add an application from gallery, I add Dropbox for business, and then the authorization would fail because I need to have a Dropbox account, business account for doing this stuff. So I was not able to configure. I was able to configure single sign-on, but account was not provisioned. Okay, and then so once you enable this particular experience, right, Dropbox, then your complete users which are there in the Azure Active Directory, right, can avail this particular Dropbox service. Got it? That's a beauty of integrating a SaaS applications, and it's done in few minutes. It doesn't take a long time. So in front of you, we are trying to add. Okay, you need to, like, whatever application you're developing, right, you need to give that particular URL. Let's, for example, I'll just give localhost. I give some port number. HTTP. Okay. Okay, you can give the reply URL, everything. So what happens is like these are setting up app settings. Okay, so when you add these app settings, right, these app settings would go and add to your New Relic account, and this particular app setting would be think of that I'm developing a product which I'm gonna host in localhost. Okay, or it can be my Azure websites, something called as my first application .azurewebsites.net. Okay, so that kind of URLs I can give, and I can give like after like how to after provisioning, what would be the my reply URL. Okay, so after provisioning to this particular New Relic account, what would be my account reply URL, like that you can mention them, or you can leave it blank and just you can configure a certificate for federated authentication single sign-on, right? You need to give a PFX account or your SSL self-sign certificate. Okay, so that you can trust set up a trust between the this particular New Relic and your Azure AD. So once that is done, I'll click next. Let's see what more it pops up, because I'm confirmed for the first time. Then New Relic. Okay. Okay, so these are the, in order to set up a trust between the New Relic and my Azure Active Directory, you need to do two different things. One thing is like you need to download a cert from New Relic Active Directory or domain controller. Okay, and then you need to upload in Azure Active Directory, and then you need to get one more certificate from Azure Active Directory and give it to New Relic domain. Okay, so that's how it would set up a trust between these two particular apps, and you can do that federated authentication with this. Okay, and you'll come to know what exactly is federated authentication. Okay, so once you do this particular setup, right, what federated authentication says is like I know what is Azure AD says what I know what is New Relic, and New Relic says I know what is Azure AD. I mean the basically the Azure guy AAD I know. Okay, so once we have the trust, right, so if a user comes from my Azure Active Directory and he want to sign up into or sign into the New Relic subscription, which we have already got by subscribing to it, and if my user from the Azure guy AAD wants to onboard to New Relic, it's easy because already this trust is set up, and whoever users come from the Azure Active Directory guy AAD would be authenticated automatically, and he would be onboarded to New Relic. So guys are losing connection. So my screen is stuck. Okay, that's done. I'll get a notification about my single sign-on. Okay, I configure my single sign-on experience. Okay, so whatever users are there in this particular the Azure AAD will be able to subscribe to New Relic, or I mean sign into New Relic with the Azure AD credentials. Okay, and assign users to tag monitoring solution. Okay, so you can define users as well, which particular user can onboard to this particular service or not. So what I do is like already the girish_kalamati@hotmail.com is a part of it, so I'll give a certain assign this particular assign this New Relic feature or SaaS application feature to this particular guy. Okay, yes, I want to enable to this user. So this particular user would get an email, or he can get let me assign this one also. Let me assign myself who had created this particular New Relic subscription. So once I do that, I should get an email to my Hotmail account. Okay, let me open my Hotmail account. This is OMS. So I should get an email from New Relic. Let's say, like in the meantime, we are waiting for the New Relic email, provision email. We will just go ahead and check back in the new portal how actually that particular service looks. If you go to your Azure Active Directory, yes, I need to sign up with Azure AAD. So what is the directory here? I have selected. I've selected this for the Azure ID. Okay, so I should see for the Azure ID itself. Select the Azure ID, and in this particular Azure Active Directory, I can see this particular New Relic application is also added to my enterprise application. So you can see this. I'm subscribed to new SaaS software as a service on New Relic. Okay, so I can see that I have subscribed to Dropbox previously, okay, which actually failed. And even the multi-tenant application which I am developing, right, I'm part of that particular, that particular app is also, part of this enterprise application, because this particular application can be, you can give it to as a service to another particular, any other customers, or even to the users which you, underneath your Active Directory. Okay, and that's a beauty of it. And so this VSTS account is nothing but I was doing automated continuous deployment with Azure websites and then with the VSTS. So when I check in my code into VSTS, Visual Studio Online, okay, VSO, then it would trigger a automatic build, and then it would deploy your code or your code onto Azure websites. So for that only, I have this particular integration where you can see the VSTS service is also added as a trusted enterprise application in my Active Directory. Okay, so we recently added the New Relic. So you have the New Relic, and you can customize a single sign-on experience for user from here. You can change it, and you can change the protocol as well for to suit to your applications which you are developing, and you can assign users or groups also who can use and who can't use this particular service. So I have added 2 users, right? So I'm able to see those 2 users in this New Relic subscription. So these 2 users under my AD can use their AD credentials to log into New Relic service. Okay, and we can do this self-service password reset also we can do. Okay, so these are the total users under this monitoring solution. We have New Relic monitoring solution. Okay, so once that is done, okay, and then what I gotta do is, let's go back to slides. Let me check whether I got an email and get an email. Okay, so that's what like I've tried to do for Dropbox, but it failed. But I tried for New Relic in front of you, and that worked well. So that's how you provision or you acquire a marketplace SaaS application to your product which you are developing. So once that is done, as I said, like you can assign a user, everything that I explained already. You have something called as Federated Authentication, which I'm talking about since last 2 classes. Okay, so Federated Authentication have 2 different or little bit of terminologies, something called as claims and Federation Trusts. So claims are nothing but they can be your email IDs, your names, or your identity provider names. Okay, anything says that. So claims would be having it would be given by your issue, or it will be given by your identity provider. Okay, so if you have right now, if you have identity with Activator or with your Facebook, if you want to authorize your application, like your Candy Crush application with Facebook, so when you click Facebook authorization, okay, if your first sign up, your first at first sign you're signing up for the first time the Candy Crush app or the game, then you will prompt up with a Facebook. Let me show up that one so it will be more clear. Candy Crush. Hope everyone knows about this. Sign in. So you can see that it would this Candy Crush app, you can play this app and you can store your data, like how many levels you reached, only if you connect with your Facebook. Okay, so that's what you're trying to connect, or the identity provider for this particular app I mean, you want to log into this particular app, but you don't want to give my email ID. I need to type my email ID and password, but instead I have my identity with Facebook. So let's go and sign in with Facebook. So when you click that, your call goes to, or Candy Crush makes a call to Facebook, and it says that yeah, this particular user with this particular email ID. So you will be logged into, once you click that, you will be logged into that particular Facebook. Okay, so Facebook now recognize you as an authenticated user, and you have credentials in there. So with that particular credentials, it would give back to Candy Crush. And it would prompt like what particular credentials it want to connect. Like if you want to access your contact details in your Facebook, yeah, you do access, you give access, and then Facebook actually gives those particular details as a claim to Candy Crush. So that's what is claims. Okay, and the Federation Trust is like I said, you right. You can have this complete single sign-on experience if you actually have a trust between two different applications or ADs itself. So the new Relic may have their own AD, or they would be maintaining their own AD. Okay, and even my Azure Active Directory have your users. Okay, now what you want to do is like you want to set up a Federation Trust between the new Relic AD and the Azure Active Directory, so that if your users are trying to access an application on New Relic, okay, and your certain credentials would be taken up, and your user, on behalf of you will be created, your user object would be created in New Relic database as well. It can be in New Relic AD or in New Relic database. Okay, for that only we need Federation Trust. Okay, so that is Federated Trusts. And this is something called as Federated Authentication is basically claim-based authentication. Okay, because you don't have anything like, you don't push or sync users between the different ADs. You just trust two different ADs, and then you authenticate any of applications which are added onto these two ADs. Okay, if I have a New Relic, and if a New Relic customers or New Relic users want to onboard our O365 applications on Azure AD, they actually, what they're going to do is like, if I have a trust between these two particular federated identities, okay, my New Relic and Azure AD, okay, then what I can do is like I just can have a trust between these two particular ADs, and then I can allow them to process or give out claims to get authenticated and then sign into each of the applications which they are hosting. Okay, so that is claim-based authentications, and basically all federated authentications work on this particular principle. And how the claims will get processed is like when a client requests a resource to your to your resources controlled by your Azure AD, then the authentication would actually go to. So if we take an example of your on-prem structure, let me diagram. Yes, so this is the same AD authentication, everything it would explain. I mean the claims processing, it would explain in here in this particular diagram. So I'll skip this slide and I'll directly jump on to like at on-prem, how do we authenticate, how this particular federated authentication works. I'll let you know. So the same, like New Relic can have its on-premise service, the ADFS service and ADDS service behind it, and then it would authenticate a lot of users on it, right? So the same thing, if you take an example of on-prem Active Directory, okay, so let's take this particular internal network, and the DMZ is my on-premise network. Okay, and I want to do a federated authentication with this on-premise network, whatever I have. So what you have is basically you have your AD is the AD sitting somewhere, the Active Directory is sitting somewhere behind this ADFS. Okay, and this ADFS would have one more, because your Active Directory will have actual users, and you doesn't want that particular AD Active Directory to get hacked or get a malicious request or or get exhausted with fake requests. Okay, so what you do is like you have something called as another service on top of it, okay, on top of even AD or ADDC or domain controller. So the AD would be there, and you have ADDC, and then you have ADFS on top of it. So ADFS would make it expose REST API to which your client can make a call and get details or get authenticate, because user attributes are stored in AD, and that particular authentication can be given by ADFS. And if you want to log into this particular laptop, I mean your corporate laptop, in order to authenticate to it, you need to actually sign into with respect to your user credentials, which are stored in Active Directory. Okay, in order to do that, if you are sitting somewhere inside the corporate LAN, okay, that process is a little bit easy. You would try to call an application, or you are trying to log on to your system. So your first call goes to your application server or your logon server, and then it would actually direct your call to internal ADFS server. Okay, so you go and present your credential to ADFS. So ADFS knows that the credentials, whatever you submit, it would go and query from the AD or the ADDC. It would make a call to ADDC, and ADDC inversely makes a call to Active Directory and get all the it would check out that this particular user, like I'm logging with welcome123 and a certain password. It would go and check that welcome123, is it a user of AD or not. If it is, it would allow that particular user, and he would be he would be logged on to his machine, or he can be able to access an application which he was trying to access. Okay, so this particular application is aware of the claims. Okay, so my ADFS would give me certain claims like my email ID, my role. Okay, so this particular application or my login after I log into my machine, and my roles or my session is getting persisted on this particular machine. Okay, so whatever role I have, like if I'm a developer, okay, I'm trying to tackle certain application which is actually used by CEOs or high level officials. I actually can't go and access that particular application because I have given a role. Okay, even it's an application or it's my machine. This particular machine, I'm logged in with my user, so it's my particular credentials or my particular existence. Okay, I can't log in as a different role, and then I can screw up that particular CEO applications or the application which is used by recruitment portal or your CEOs, company CEOs. I just as a developer, I just have access to VSTS or certain development tools. Okay, so that's what, like, how we actually the roles or the session is maintained on a machine and on a server, and then everything is audited, and you are only allowed to do certain kind of activities which are you allowed. Okay, so if you are part of an internal user, you're not jumping over the firewall, and you doesn't need to go and access the ADFS proxy server to get your things authenticated. Rather, you would go directly to internal ADFS server, because you're not a threat to internal ADFS, because you are inside an corporate LAN network. Okay, but the same thing if you're trying to access on a laptop from your home, so it would have a little bit different of flow. What it would have is, it would have a certain different layer, a DMZ layer on top of your internal ADFS layer, whatever you have. Because this particular DMZ is a demilitarized zone network, or which we call is as a pertinent network as well. Okay, and why we use this particular network is like you don't want every call from your internet to hit onto your original internal ADFS server, but it can hit your ADFS proxy server. And that too with certain limitations. You do have firewall in front of it. Okay, it won't allow all of the traffic, but it won't allow you to if you're trying to if a hacker is trying to access any of your AD details, okay, without your presence, okay, without your any trusted devices, then it would block those calls, because the DMZ or the firewall knows that which particular calls I can allow and which particular calls I need to skip or just throw it off. Okay, so if the call would be from laptop, if you're making from an external network, okay, from your broadband, private broadband, then your call goes to ADFS proxy server, and then if it checks that it's a legitimate call, the laptop, if a person is getting authenticated onto this particular laptop, Okay, and the same stuff, this particular flow I have explained in this particular next slide. Okay, so first I'll try to log on to my laptop with my credentials which I have, my user credentials. Okay, or if I'm trying to access to an application which is hosted somewhere in my inside the network, like it can be my people connect kind of application. Okay, so which is hosted internally to a to an organization, and which need to have your credentials to log on. Okay, so what it do is like this particular internal app would throw you to or redirect your call to ADFS proxy server, and ADFS proxy server would make a call to internal ADFS server. So internal ADFS server would see your credentials, like what credentials you're trying to sign in, and according to that particular credentials it would go and check in AD and the ADDS, like whether this particular user exists or not, and if it's a valid user it would give back this ADFS would get a success from AD. Okay, and the ADFS has a capacity of processing token, giving out token services. Everything is hosted in ADFS. Okay, so ADFS would give you certain token, security token to ADFS proxy server back, and that particular token would be given to your laptop or your user with whom the session is set up, and that particular token would be present to your application server, and then he will get an access. Okay, if he is trying to log on to his laptop with the credentials, yeah, he will be able to log on. Okay, so that's a complete flow of how exactly federated authentication or ADFS 2.0 works. And we will talk about AD B2C application tomorrow. Okay, and we'll just talk about, I mean, like if we have any questions, we're going to discuss right now.